Assalamu alaikum. Hello everyone. I hope you guys are doing good. So this is going to be my first ever live session on YouTube on my IELTS channel. And what I'm doing today is a bit different from what I usually do. I found a great website. It's IELTStestsimulation.com. It's totally free, by the way. There could be some ads, so that's fine. Lekin, if you haven't visited it, it's a must. So if you're doing IELTS on computer, this is the perfect website to go visit and practice your test as if you're doing it on computer. So we are going to do it, and we're going to start attempting and seeing how it actually works and what exactly is the IELTS test, how does it actually work, and what are the strategies that are used to attempt the reading test. We'll start off by reading, so without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so this is the link. I'll share the link with you all in the description shortly. Let's start the test. The timer begins, and on the left is our ability to scroll through the text. On the right is the ability to scroll through the questions if we have more than these questions. So we have 60 minutes, just like it is for every IELTS reading test. What we need to do is, instead of starting to read these passages, have a look at all the questions. So this type of question: the agency expects customers to provide letters of recommendation, certain information on properties, agency began business in its present location, employees have specific roles at the agency carefully chooses the property owners that it works with. These are all of the questions that come in a logical order, in the same way that this is, no, sorry, not these one, but I have other, these are called matching headings. So matching headings do not come in any logical order. However, we have these questions which are true, false, not given, and sentence completion, diagram completion, that always come in a logical order. So what we're going to do is, since this is quite easy, we'll start off by reading the first passage, the first paragraph, and we'll see which one of these actually matches with this one. Okay, so let's get started. With over 50 years experience, we offer a comprehensive sales and letting service. Our firm has been based in Shipton Street since its foundation, and so we have a thorough knowledge of the surrounding neighborhood. Our staff makes every effort to match clients' needs to an appropriate property, whether you are looking to rent an apartment, a bungalow, or a house. So you need to highlight some of the keywords. So this is a keyword. Um, Based on good practice, this could be another keyword. So this highlight feature is exactly the way how you're going to do IELTS on computer. Family run business with over 20 years experience. Highlight that. James Kettering, this is the name of the person, highlighted. Then administration officer, highlight that. Left field letting. Well, the main objective of some letting agents to get as much as possible. We aim to secure a fair deal for tenants and a trouble-free service for landlords. Okay, there's modern marketing techniques that run price comparisons. So what we're looking for is matching headings. Which one of these perfectly matches the summary? So this has a lot of experience, 50 years of experience, and it is based in Shipton Street since its foundation. Okay. The agency expects customers to provide letters of recommendation. Does it match? No, it doesn't. The agency provides certain information on properties held by its competitors. No, not Ainho Properties. The agency began business in its present location. Shipped since its foundation in its present location. Did you notice the synonyms? यही वो चीजें होती हैं जो कि लोगों को नहीं पता. They always rewrite it. They always paraphrase whatever you have. So it's not going to be exactly the same word. So for 3, this is A. Okay? Now let's move on to B. As soon as you walk in our door, we'll make every effort to find the right flat for you to rent. Everything we do is based on good practice. You supply written references, okay, and pay the rent on time, and in return will visit the property every 4 months to ensure it is maintained and that any necessary repairs are done. The agency expects customers to provide letters of recommendation. Now, a letter of recommendation is a copy, it's a document, and hence written reference. Letter of recommendation, written reference, same thing. So it's B. The answer for B is this one, the first one. Okay. Now let's move on. A family-run business with over 20 years experience. We pride ourselves on treating every client with kindness and consideration. The landlords in our books have been selected with great care so that you can be sure they will look after your interests. Thousands of customers from all over the world have written to us to express their appreciation for the service we have offered them. The agency provides certain investment properties held by its competitors? No. Employees have specific roles at the agency? No. The agency carefully chooses the property owners that it works with. So property owner is another synonym for landlord. You see how we are matching it? And the answer for 5 is C. Now we are left with 2 and 4. Kasama letting. Our highly experienced team works hard to provide peace of mind for both tenants and landlords. James Kettering, our customer liaison officer, is always at the end of the phone to answer any queries you may have. We also have an administration officer who deals with contracts, rents, and personal queries. So James Kettering, the agent employs have specific roles at the agency. Okay, James Kettering is a customer liaison officer, and there's also an administration officer. So they have been at least 2 employees. Okay, and there are 2 employees and they have their own rules, so this one perfectly matches D. This, without a doubt, is E, because no letter is going to be repeated, but if you want me to do it, let's do it. The agency provides certain information on properties held by its competitors. We aim to secure a fair deal for tenants and a trouble-free service for landlords. We use modern marketing techniques that include price comparison for similar properties. It provides certain information on properties held by its competitors. Bingo, we're done. 5 questions done in about, you can say, 7 minutes. Not bad. Let's move on. All right. All of these questions will always be in a logical order. The answer for the 6th question is not going to be from here. It is going to be either somewhere from this paragraph or this paragraph. And then it progresses just like placing your foot on the ladder, as if you're climbing with both your feet, 1, 2, 3, 4, exactly like that. It is illegal. So we're not going to read this. We're first going to read the question and then match that question's information with the paragraph and then connect from there. It is illegal to cycle after sunset without bike lights. You must have approved front and rear lights that are lit, clean, and working properly when cycling between sunset and sunrise. It's no defense to say that it was past sunset. The legal lighting obligation for cyclists are determined by sunset and sunrise times, not the hours of darkness. It is illegal. The legal lighting obligations highlight, and it is illegal. So what is the answer for this? What is the answer? It is true. All right. Now let's. Front and rear lights can be attached to the rider. Cycling UK's Guide to Cycling Regulations explains the road vehicles lighting regulation in detail, but in summary, you need a white light at the front and a red light at the rear. Front and rear lights can be attached to the rider. And a rear light visible from the front and rear. A light obscured by a saddlebag isn't legal, and neither is a torch on your head to stop you using your head torch as an additional light. Okay. A light obscured by a saddlebag isn't legal, and neither is a torch on your head, which means that there are legal restrictions. There front and rear lights cannot be attached to the rider. This perfectly matches, but perfectly is an opposite. It completely contradicts the statement. A cannot be attached and hence it is false. Oops, it is false. A torch worn on a cyclist's head must be white. A light obscured, okay, the regulations allow now allow flashing lights provided they flash between 60 and 240 times per minute. Okay. There are some legal restrictions on flashing lights. We are here, so it means the answer to this question must be somewhere between here. A torch worn on a cyclist's head must be white. Nothing to stop you using a head torch as an additional light. Using a head torch as an additional light, but what's the color? Okay, this is for sure कि हम एक light attach कर सकते हैं. We can use a head torch as an additional light. But does it have to be white? Where does it say it has to be white? It doesn't say, and hence it is not given. There are some legal restrictions on flashing lights. The regulations also now allow flashing lights provided they flash between 60 and 240 times per minute, which means there are legal restrictions on flashing lights. There are legal requirements. Hence, it is true. Reflectors are most commonly available in packs of 4. The legal requirements for reflectors include a red rear reflector and 4 amber pedal reflectors are most commonly on one at the front and rear of each pedal. Okay. I can't find information. Does it say anything that they are available in the pack of 4? Okay, you need 4. But do you, whenever you go to the market to buy an amber pedal reflector, do you always get one set with a pack of 4? One set in which there are 4 reflectors? Does it state anywhere? No. Is it false? No, it is not given because we don't have any information over here. All right. Now let's have a look at 11th. Reflective heel strips are allowed inside of pedal reflectors. Reflective heel strip or ankle band could replace an amber pedal reflector, but unfortunately these do not meet the legal requirements, and hence, since they do not meet the legal requirements, which means they are not allowed, and hence this information matches but completely contradicts. It is 100% the opposite of what is stated in the paragraph. The law concerning the design of pedals is unsatisfactory. There is an annoying problem for riders who use bikes where the feet are attached to the pedals and cannot slip. These pedals are not designed, are not designed with enough space to accommodate reflectors and make this an area of legislation in need of change. So when do you have a legislation that is in need of change? When do you change the law? Either it is not satisfactory or it is not performing. Hence, the law concerning the design of the pedals is unsatisfactory. It is true. It perfectly matches and is in sync and is completely where it should be. Cycling during the daytime is safer than cycling at night. Unlike other vehicles, lights are not a legal requirement for cyclists when there is seriously reduced visibility during the daytime. Although we would recommend cycling through dense fog without lighting up, it is safer than does it state anywhere that cycling at daytime is safer than cycling at night? No, it doesn't. Hence, it is not given. It is against the law to cycle in daytime fog without lights. Although we wouldn't recommend cycling through dense fog without lighting up. When there is, lights are not a legal requirement for cyclists when there is seriously reduced visibility during the daytime. It matches, but it is a completely contradiction. The question states that it is against the law. The passage states that it is not a legal requirement, hence they are contradiction. Hence, it is against the law, it is not against the law, hence it is false. It is not against the law. Okay, so the 14th one is false. Let's move on to 15th. Okay. Similar to what we did earlier, this is a flow chart, or you may say matching, uh, again, one word only, and this is flowchart completion, or I guess sentence completion is more or less the same. All right. Now, whenever you hear this, whenever you read this furniture, it means you are in this paragraph. Highlighted. Environment, it means you're here. This is not matching heading. This is not matching paragraph. This is like a summary. It progresses with the passage of time. It progresses with the same speed at which you're progressing with this passage. Okay. Tasks and breaks. Tasks and breaks. Okay. So from the first paragraph, it should be obviously clear that there is only one question that needs to be answered. All right. Let's do it. Desk size should facilitate the flexible arrangement, allow in a flexible way. The easy use of a holder for documents, so you're in a position where it's comfortable and employee use a document holder. And chain in the users, to let the user work on and to alter their position. Chain in the user's position. You know why? The word change is the same as the word change. It is the same as the word alter. To alter is to change. And this is exactly how the IELTS on computer reading is going to be. Now let's move on, and we'll know that there are 3 questions that need to be answered from these 3 paragraphs that are related to the working environment. Employers should move soundproof or separate noisy equipment using dash. We only know it's a one-word answer. Noisy, highlighted this, soundproofing, or moving the equipment. Okay, now we'll get closer to the answers. You can use partitions between noisy equipment and the rest of the workstation as an alternative. Or separate partition. Partition. You use partition. You can add a note here, and I am just going to add note for you. Oops, I don't know why it's not allowing me. You use partition to separate something. Okay, just like Pakistan or India की partition हुई थी. India and Pakistan partition, they were separated. Okay, so you're using what? Partitions, not partition. This is wrong. This is right. And if you have a problem in writing, you can simply copy it. Okay, you can simply Control C, Control V. If there is a mistake in spelling when you're answering the question, that answer is considered wrong. वो गलत होगा, so don't even try doing that. Reduce glare from nearby dash. Important. Surrounding windows must have curtains or blinds which users can adjust to prevent reflected glare. We have glare. So you see the structure is changed. Here the word glare is used first. Here in the passage it's used at the end. So the structure is changed. Subject, object can be reversed. Active voice, passive voice. Keep that in mind. From nearby dash, surrounding windows. When something is nearby, it is surrounding. Alright? It is surrounding. So it is windows. For example, using adjustable blinds. Check a comfortable temperature. Temperature wise, the equipment should not give out so much heat that the user becomes uncomfortable, so monitor this. Check dash from equipment. Check what? Equipment should not give this. Check what? Check heat. Check airflow and quality in working area. No need to read further. Let's move on to the last heading. Employees should have a variety of tasks to choose from, a fair workload and input into task achievement and to workload and division, neither overworked nor underworked. And employees need for input into task achievement and give employees some say in the work. Okay. And input into task achievement and carried out, and the planning that goes into it, into task achievement and planning. Regular short breaks at times of their own. How intensely they're depending, as a general rule, short free better than longer. The employee should at times have a choice over when to take breaks. Should be encouraged to do this. So have at times of their own choice. And there we go. Heat, windows, partitions, change in the user's position. Nearby windows, heat, planning, and choice. Since there is choice, this is choice. Let's move on. Again, this is the same as the ones we did earlier. So far, we're done with 20 questions in 20 minutes. And I'm not being pressed with the time. We have 40 minutes remaining and we have 20 questions that need to be done. But don't worry, part 3 बड़ा मुश्किल होने वाला है भाई. ध्यान रखना, it's going to be difficult for third part. So let's do the easier ones first. Employers should keep a dash of ladder safety. But first, one word answer only. Employers should keep a dash of ladder safety inspections. Employers need to oversee all ladders that are owned by their company. Detailed visual inspections should be carried out on regular, and they should have an up-to-date record. Employers should keep a record, not up-to-date record, because one word answer. Employers should check the dash of a ladder is suitable for the job. Before starting a job, employers are also responsible for ensuring any ladder is the right length to meet the needs of the task. Employers should check the length of a ladder. The dash and joints of the ladder need particularly close inspection. So our keyword here is joints. Okay. Once you get used as a user of the ladder, should conduct a pre-use check each working, and if it have been part of your training, it should be done according on the steps and make sure they're not loose. Similarly, a cracked joint. Okay. Now, this is what you need to work on. This sentence is a summary of these two sentences. So in one sentence, he's talking about two objects. In the paragraph, each sentence talks about one object. So there are two sentences for two, and this is one sentence mentioning both. So cracked joints, focus on the steps. The steps and joints of the ladder need particularly close inspection. Is my vision working fine? Yes. Make sure the dash of the ladder are resting on a clean, hard surface. Almost all forms of ladders happen because the ladder moves unexpectedly. The key factor when it falls is to ensure ladder is stable whilst being used. First, make sure that you choose level ground on which to set up. They are specifically designed tools. Don't use just a piece of wood. Dirt free. The dash of the ladder are resting. And preventing is to ensure the ladder is stable. To set up there on dirt so the feet can grip and the ladder doesn't sink. Make sure the dash of the ladder are resting on a clean, hard surface. This pretty much explains the clean, hard surface, and the answer is feet. Okay, the answer is feet. Protect the ladder from vehicles by using dash. Before you go up the ladder, look at the surrounding environment. Let me just highlight this as well. It's feet. By using, you go up the ladder, look at the surrounding environment. And the ladder cannot be struck by vehicles. If necessary, safeguard the area. Protect the ladder. Safeguard it by placing red and white cones around it. By using what? Cones. Use a dash to keep people away from the ladder. So we are here. We just answered this question. Doors and windows may need to be secured where possible. Use a dash. Finally, think about the hazards of the general. A danger sign A dash to keep people away is that there is often the best way of doing this. Best way of doing what? आपने नोटिस किया है कि कहीं पे they did not write use a danger sign to keep people away from the ladder. That's not written here. It's written here. So finally think about the hazards to the general public and make sure they cannot walk underneath or get too near to it. This entire statement is summarized by this one sentence. So you need to understand the meaning. Use what? Use a danger sign. But since we cannot use the word danger, use a danger to keep people away, danger does not make sense. So this is what makes sense. Keep the ladder in place using ties rather than tie it to a suitable knot. Good job. Such as a window or railing, making sure both sides are aware there is no pressure secured to the wall. The base of the ladder. Avoid using blocks. Avoid using blocks to wedge the ladder in place as they can easily move. Keep the ladder in place using ties rather than when you're avoiding something rather than. Avoid this, or I would go to this restaurant and I would avoid this. I would go to this restaurant rather than this. So avoiding something and rather, it's basically the same thing. We are done, my dear audience, with 27 questions. In how much time? In more or less 26, 27 minutes. So we have 35 minutes remaining, and we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 questions that need to be done in this time. Now, part 3 is going to be difficult, all right? It's not going to be easy, and none of this comes in a logical order. You see this? You may use any letter more than once. इसका मतलब क्या है? That any one of these passages can be appeared again for this statement, for these statements. All right? Okay? So, let's do them again. 28 to 32. अच्छा, अब ये करने किस तरह? How exactly are you supposed to answer these? You need to first read all the questions. Read all of them. Easily. Take your time. Read them all. A suggestion that Fosbury should change his way of jumping. So, there should be a paragraph that states someone making a suggestion that Fosbury should change his way of jumping. A reference to an opportunity offered to Fosbury that made him feel honored. So there could be some opportunity that Fosbury is talking about that says that it made him feel honored. A reference to the fact that Fosbury was a very influential high jumper. Well, maybe. Could be written by Fosbury himself, could be by a writer, a journalist, or someone else. Conflicting explanations given by Fosbury for the way the idea for the Fosbury flop began. So these are the explanations that are given by Fosbury. They are contradictory. They are 2 or 3 different explanations, and none of them match with each other. A reference to a time when Fosbury was dissatisfied with his athletic performance. Perhaps the mentioning कि कभी उसने कोई performance दी होगी और वो properly match नहीं किया. When interviewed about his development of the Fosbury flock, Dick Fosbury said this. These are the 4 answer multiple choice. We will skip these for now. We will start off from 28. On October 20, 1968, a 21-year-old university student from the USA called Dick Fosbury completely transformed the sport of high jumping with a gold medal, an Olympic record of 2.24 meters at the Mexico City game. We are going to highlight all of these keywords. Any word that has the name of a place, person, that has a number, a year, the name of a month, the name of a city, should be highlighted. Fosbury accomplished this fabulous feat by sailing over the crossbar headfirst and backward. As colorfully described that day by the Los Angeles Times, Fosbury goes over the bar like a guy being pushed out of a 30-story window. Okay. All right, so let's see. A suggestion that Fosbury should change his way of jumping? No. I don't think so. I don't think so about that. It has nothing mentioned about it. Okay. Um, a reference to an opportunity offered to Fosbury? No, it's just small history. A reference to the fact that Fosbury was a very influential high jumper? Could be this, but we can't say anything. A reference to the fact that Fosbury was a very influential high jumper. As colorfully described that day by the Los Angeles Times, Fosbury goes over the bar like a guy being pushed out of a 30-story window. Transformed, reference, conflicting explanations, no. A reference to time of dissatisfied. None of the first two and the last two are matching. This seems to be a close one. Let's see if this one works. A reference to the fact that Fosbury was indeed a very influential figure. Yes. Fosbury is colorfully. This is a reference that he was indeed a very influential high jumper. Yep. This one perfectly matches it. Let's have a look at B. At first, when asked about how this unorthodox maneuver originated, Fosbury would joke with sports writers, informing some that because of his university background in physics and engineering, he had initially designed the flop on paper, and telling others he had accidentally discovered his technique when he once tripped and fell backward off. So highlight this. Later interviews, Fosbury revealed that technique could actually inform many years. This seems like a controversial explanation. What do you suggest? Conflicting explanations given by Fosbury for the way the idea of the Fosbury flop began. So, here's something you need to understand. Conflicting explanations. It is plural. At least two or more explanations. So we have informing some that because of his university background, he had initially designed on paper. So this was the first explanation. The other one was telling others he had accidentally discovered this technique. However, in later interviews, he revealed that it actually unfolded over many years. So there are actually three conflicting explanations, which are actually given by Fosbury himself. By Fosbury for the way the idea of the Fosbury flop began. So 31 is going to be B. So this is how we are going to decode the information. So there are three different contradictory explanations in this paragraph that are perfectly matched with this. So now we are done with 1, 28, 29, and 32. We need three more to do, and we're not sure that any one of these could be repeated. Fosbury explained that when he first learned to high jump at the age of 10 or 11, he tried jumping with the scissor style. He said, I used that style until I went to high school, where my coach explained that I was never going to get anywhere with that technique. He started me with the belly roll technique. However, I was really lousy with that style. I expressed my frustration to coach. Highlighted that if I really wanted, I could still use the scissors. He started me, however, was really went into where my coach explained that I was never going to get anywhere with that technique. The coach ने उसे कहा था. The coach told him कि भाई you need to change your way of jumping. So this could be a suggestion. ऐसे ही है. Let's complete it. So in the next competition, back to the scissors. As the bar was reached, I began to lift my hips up. Went back to the scissors style. It was a suggestion. Ji haan, it is absolutely right. 28 is C. Because suggestion that Fosbury should change his way of jumping. Coach explained that I was never going to get anywhere with that technique, which means he was giving me the suggestion that we should change your style. A reference to an opportunity offered to Fosbury that made him feel honored. This way the flop evolved, not from design but from a trial and error process which combined um, repeated effort with the biomechanics of Fosbury's gangling 1 meter 93 physique. Sports Illustrated writer Richard Hoffer wrote, "It was on-site engineering, his body and mind working together, making reflexive adjustments, with only one goal, getting over the bar." Explained that Nizana seemed to be all over the place. Those movements that served to get him a centimeter higher were retained, while the others were gradually eliminated as the technique evolved. Opportunity to Fosbury dissatisfied. Hmm. Mm, no, none of this is matching that. What did Fosbury think of seeming awkwardness of his flop? "I believe that the flop was a natural style," he said, "and I was just the first to find it. I can say that because the Canadian jumper, Debbie Brill, was a few years younger than I was and also developed the same technique only a few years after me and without ever having seen me." Striking coincidence? Yes, indeed, but perhaps not as striking as the fact that a high school student called Bruce one day was photographed on May 24, 1963, flopping backward over the crossbar. This was the same month that Fosbury recalls having flopped for the first time in competition when he was at high school. This may also seem like conflicting explanations, but that is not the correct answer. But completing the flop successfully was only half the battle. Okay. Um, FG. Only half the battle. The return to Earth still had to be negotiated. And consider as an action, knowing they had to land on their necks. Jumping in high school, he had to land in pits which were filled with wood chips, sawdust, or sand. The wooden border of the pit, and he landed totally out of the pit, flat on it, knocking the wind out of him. Stall foam rubber in its high jump pit, then cushioning the jumpers fall, encouraging the use of the potentially dangerous flop. To have co-evolved. Honor. And now he came names a flop. 30. 30 is 29 is a reference. No. Acha. I don't see E and I don't see F anywhere as the answer. So let's have a look at G. Fosbury explains how he came to name the flop. "I'm very proud that I received the naming rights, but the term were which known did not appear overnight. To tell the truth, the first time that I was interested as what do you call this, I used I'm very proud that I received the naming rights." A reference to an opportunity offered to Fosbury that made him feel honored. And as what do you call this? I used my engineering and editing and refer to it as back layout. Even write it down. I noted this. Next time I was in it, that's when I said, well, at home in my town they called it the Fosbury flop, and everyone wrote it down. From a caption on newspaper that said Fosbury flops over bar. River, very popular fishing and when you land a fish on the bank, it's flopping. So it's a good description by a journalist, and I remembered it. A reference to the an opportunity offered to Fosbury that okay, Fosbury was given an opportunity. The first time that I was interviewed and asked, what do you call this? He was asked. उससे पूछा गया था कि भाई बताओ क्या नाम रखना है. So 29 is most probably G. Okay. Now we're left with 32. A reference to a time when Fosbury was dissatisfied with his athletic performance. Hold on a second. 32 He expressed his frustration. You express your frustration when you are dissatisfied with something. So 32 is C. Okay. C, G, A, B, C. These are the correct answers. So this paragraph, the third paragraph, has two answers. C, Fosbury should change his way of jumping, as it is mentioned here. And C, a reference to a time when Fosbury was dissatisfied with his athletic performance. I expressed my frustration to the coach, and he said that if I really had wanted, I could still use the scissors. He was dissatisfied. Okay? Now, we are left with 7 or 8 questions, and we still have 20 minutes. If you can see, I'm being patient. I am teaching you the right strategies without getting panicked. This is how you're going to attempt the reading test. When interviewed about his development of the Fosbury flop, Dick Fosbury always insisted that it carefully designed it on scientific principles, said he wanted to develop a technique that only he could use, claimed, it's not named, it's claimed, sorry for this typo, I think that was a mistake made by the website. I think it was inspired by an injury he suffered while making a jump, done gradually without any overall plan. Fosbury achieved a sudden improvement in the height he could jump when he started to adapt the scissors technique. Became much more determined to win competition, decided to abandon the scissors technique, found when he was using the belly roll technique. In the scissors style, he said, I began to this is somehow flop evolved not from the design but from a trial and error process. Alright, and the answer for 34, he started adapting. When describing the way that Fosbury's jump evolved, Richard Hoffer stressed that Fosbury's height slowed down his progress. Where is Richard Hoffer? Hoffer. Okay. Sports Illustrated writer Richard Hoffer wrote, the way the jump of Richard Hoffer is that Fosbury's height slowed down his progress. The process was most controlled than it appeared for not really well-wisdom technique. The process included specialist input from engineers. Okay, there is no mentioning that the process included specialist input from engineers. There were no engineers. He was not really aware of his own technique. He was. His height slowed down his progress. No. As the time went on, he had a positive improvement in his progress. So the only right option that we're left with is B. 35 is B. The process was more controlled than it appeared. He explained that although his legs and arms seemed to be all over the place, those movements that served to get him a centimeter higher were retained, while the others were gradually eliminated. So, दूसरे किसी दूर को लग रहा होगा किसी को देख के कि यार इसको करना नहीं आ रहा, लेकिन जो बंदा कर रहा है उसको पता है कि भाई मैं फ्लॉप जिस तरीके से कर रहा हूँ, it is well controlled, it is well maintained. Fosbury defended his idea that his style of jumping was natural by pointing out, अच्छा natural का कहाँ पे है? See, natural style. So it was achievable by younger jumpers, are just the first to find it. Younger than I was, same technique. Only a few years after me without ever having seen me. A striking coincidence? Yes, indeed. Not as striking as the fact that a high school student called Bruce Owande was photographed on 24th May 1963 flopping backward over the crossbar. This was the same month that Fosbury recalls having flopped for the first time in the competition when he was at high school. It was achievable by younger jumpers. only a few years after me. It was copied successfully. No, there is no mention of anyone copying it. It was achievable without any special training. There is no mention about that. It is either A or it is D. Which one is it? It is A or D. Okay, let's come back to it later. Let's do the 33rd one first. The 33rd is that interviewed was his development, learned to high jump at the age of 10 or 11. He tried jumping with the Caesar style. He only discovered this technique when he once tripped. Actually unfolded over many years, involved countless trials and errors without any overall plan. Claimed it was in 33 seems to be C. It was inspired injury he suffered. No, it's D. Stated that it had been done gradually without any overall plan. Natural technique that was evolved. 33 is D. 34 is A. 35 is C. Let's have a look at 36. It was independently discovered by other athletes. Where is it? Only a few years after me, without ever having seen me. Striking coincidence? Yes, indeed, but perhaps not as striking as the fact that a high school student called Bruce one day was photographed, or the crossword, the same month, independently discovered by other athletes. It was achievable, but this is the this is this seems to be like the best option right now. How the Fosbury flop got its name. When first interviewed, Fosbury called his jumping style a dash. When first interviewed, when was he first interviewed? Not now, not now. When first interviewed, Fosbury called his jumping style a dash. This had not made an impression on the dash. 37. Write no more than 2 words. So 2 words, up to 2 words is right. Call this jumping style natural dash. Now I thought. When was he interviewing? Ah, where is it? Okay. Later interviews. Action of many years ago, it was simply natural that evolved. Called his jumping style a scissors style. Okay, let's move on. The next interview used a name taken on the description given to newspaper photo. This was the name that everyone noted. His town is near a. His town is near a river. Why? Because it is mentioned here, a river. The context was that our town was on a river, very popular for fishing, and or from the Pacific Ocean. So it's not close to Pacific Ocean, near a river of flopping, and a fish and a fish does a similar type of flopping movement when brought to land. So we're stuck with 37 and 38. 38. What is To tell the truth, the first time I was interviewed and asked, "What do you call this?" I used my engineering analytical side and I refer to it as a back layout. Okay, back layout. All right, let's have this. It was not interesting, and the journalist didn't even write it down, but he realized it has not made an impression on the what? Journalist. And that's how, ladies and gentlemen, we are done with all questions. And yes, I want to review them. We have 10 minutes. Take your time. The agency expects customers to provide letters of recommendation, written references. Good. Provide certain information on properties held by its competitors. Price comparison for similar properties. Great. The agency began business in its present location, Shipton Street, since its foundation. Employees have specific roles at the agency. D. James, and then we have an administration officer. The agency carefully chooses the property owners that it works with. C. Landlords, property owners. There you go. Landlords. Okay. Let's move on to the 3, 4, 5, 6th question. We have 9 minutes. It is illegal to cycle after sunset without bike lights. It is notified was possible but not yet dark. Yes, it is illegal. So it is true. Front rear lights can be attached to a rider. No. And neither is a torch on your head, which means you can't use it. It's false. You cannot attach it. A torch worn on a cyclist's head must be white. No. It has no mention of that. It's not given. There are some legal restrictions on flashing lights. Regulations allow, provided they flash, so this is a requirement, this is a restriction. True. Reflectors are most commonly available in packs of 4. No, you need 4, but they're not available in pack of 4 because we don't know even if they are, so it's not given. Reflective yield strips are allowed inside instead of pedal reflectors. But unfortunately, these do not meet the legal requirements, and hence it is false. The law concerning the design of pedals is unsatisfactory. The pedals are not designed with enough space to accommodate reflectors and make this an area of legislation in need of change. True. Cyclists during the daytime, cycling during the daytime is safer than cycling at night. We don't know. They have not mentioned anything about it. It's not given. It is against the law to cycle in daytime fog without lights. It's false because it is not a legal requirement. It is not against the law. You can do it, but it is highly recommended to use to do not cycle. It is recommended not to cycle, but it does not mean you can do it. So part 1 is complete. We have 7 minutes and 20 seconds remaining to review the remaining questions. Change in the user's position. All right. Separate noise equipment using partitions. Where is it? Partitions. That is the answer. Reduce glare from nearby. Surrounding windows must have curtains. Reflected glare. Nearby windows. Check heat from equipment. So much heat. Check heat. Check airflows, backs, brakes, and input into task achievement and planning. Task achievement is having some say in the work. It's carried out and the planning that goes into it. Planning. Regular short breaks at times of their own choice. Have a choice over when they can take the break. Alright. On to question 21. Employee should keep a record. Check the right length. The steps and joints of the ladder, when doing it is important to focus on the steps. Similarly, a cracked joint. So steps, make sure the feet of the ladder. A feet can grip of the ladder resting on a clean, hard surface. Okay, so dirt-free and solid is a clean, hard surface. Protect the ladder from vehicles by using cones. Use a sign. You cannot use the word danger sign because it says one word only. You need to use, if you use a danger, that danger alone does not make sense. What is danger? Is it a danger sign? Is it a danger tax? Is it a danger label? What it is? What is it? Sign. Avoid using blocks rather than blocks. Part 3. Okay, should change his way of jumping. Let's move on to C. I was never going to get anywhere with that technique. C. Reference to an opportunity offered to Fosbury that made him feel honored. The first time that I was interviewed and asked, what do you call this? I'm very proud of it. The next time I was interviewed, that's when I said, because everyone wrote what he was saying, so it made him feel honored. G. A reference to the fact that Fosbury was a very influential high jumper. A. You see? This. Conflicting explanations given by Fosbury for the way the idea for the Fosbury flap began. At first, when asked about his unorthodox meaning, so this is first explanation, this is second explanation, and this is the third explanation. There are 3 conflicting explanations, and they are all plural, minimum 2 or more. B. A reference to a time when Fosbury was dissatisfied with his athletic performance. C. Because he expressed his frustration. You only express your frustration when you are unable to achieve a goal, when you're frustrated, when you're in a panic mode. You don't express frustration when you're satisfied. When interviewed about his development, Dick Fosbury stated it had been done gradually without any plan. It was simply a natural technique that evolved. He started to adapt the scissors style. So, it was the scissors style that he started to adapt and improve himself. When describing the way that Fosbury's jump evolved, Richard Hoffer stressed that the process was more controlled than it appeared, because that even though his arms and legs seemed to be all over the place, he knew how to get to where he was. It was independently discovered by other athletes. Naturally, by pointing out, it was independently discovered. Okay, I'm very proud to use the back layout, just like this. Journalist. And the journalist didn't even write it down, which means the journalist was not impressed. Near a river, on a river, not Pacific Ocean. No more than 2 words, but that does not mean it is not near a Pacific Ocean. Doesn't make sense. Near a river and a fish on the bank. We're done. Let's submit. Okay. We still had 1 wrong. So let's see which one was wrong. Let's have a look. Review your answers. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. We can write, this is not wrong, because we can either write it as this, or since it was written as back lay dash out over here, we just wrote it from that. But that's fine. I mean, in the actual exam, even if you write it like this, because if it is mentioned as back lay dash out, where is it mentioned? Back layout. So I wrote it exactly this way. I think there was a spelling error in this passage, because this is not wrong. We have all of the questions that are right. It's a 9 out of 9. And yes, even though I reviewed it earlier, मैं एक चीज़ ज़रूर कहना चाहूँगा कि this is something that you should be practicing. The website's name is IELTS Test Simulation, an excellent website. All of the tests are available free of cost. There are some annoying ads that you can ignore. लेकिन यहाँ पे सबसे बड़ा जो benefit है ना वो पता है क्या है? कि आपको टेंशन नहीं किसी चीज़ की. You don't have to pay for computer-based tests. So as many computer-based tests are available based on all the IELTS books. In fact, most of them, listening, reading, and writing. In fact, speaking as well. And if you like the video, if you've enjoyed this live stream, I would appreciate if you give it a sub, share it with others, like and follow my channel. I provide IELTS coaching, and I would love to be teaching you IELTS, and it was such an honor to be solving this with you, and I'm looking forward. Take care. Have a great day. If you have any questions,